Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. House of Tortured Souls Live is extremely honored tonight. We have one of my personal all-time favorite films, the new release, Part 2, Houses October Built, Part 1 and Part 2, writer-directors. Bobby Rowe, Zach Andrews is here with me. I am completely and beyond honored. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I sent in the request for interviews. I know you guys have been busy, especially with the release of the film. Was it been 2 weeks now, roughly? I believe something like that. And so I'm sure you guys are kind of being swept up in the whirlwind of everything right now. And to be able to get back to me and give me some of your time is means the world to me. So thank you both very much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you having us on, John.
I guess start me back day one. The House is October Built. This just kind of came to you. How did this whole concept come to you guys?
It was part of our lifestyle. Zach and I grew up together, so we ended up do that. We'd go see a horror movie, then we'd go see the haunted house. We were in Dallas, Texas, and as time progressed out here in LA, we were writing the entire time, but we wanted to try to figure out a way to scare people in a kind of different fashion. And we went back to what we loved and what we also noticed that nobody had put on the big screen yet. There weren't really examples of that in film. And so we decided to just kind of write a narrative around and using real haunted houses and real scare actors at the same time and write a narrative around that. And that's kind of that's the seed of Houses. And that goes back to the original doc that we shot in 2010, which is the one on the Blu-ray.
So, well, first of all, I think that's amazing that you guys used actual haunts, actual haunt actors. So many friends of mine do haunts, and they had the utmost respect for you guys actually doing that. And I personally feel that that has helped resurface and inspire a lot of the haunt attractors to really put forth a lot more effort into it, really inspire them to keep it going, and at the same time get the public to go back to those haunts. So with that being said, I think that's really been a huge impact on the haunt industry.
Well, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because we wanted to make sure that this is probably where Zach was going, but making like that map that is kind of out there for both movies. We wanted to make sure at the same time we appreciate being out there and we appreciate their craft. And so if anybody can experience it like we did, go to that local haunt, and then that way, I mean, hopefully it is a horror or a haunted house commercial for a lot of people, and we want it to be that way. We want to put that on display because they've worked so damn hard at it.
So first off, I gotta let you know, I just finally read the top of your hat, the Hellbent. Yeah, I like that. That's great.
It's a real brewery. It's funny, they sponsored the premiere. We found out after the fact, but we were glad to hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, all right. So the first film is basis in Texas, in New Orleans, the southern states. Now, I noticed in the sequel, your new map kind of extends up through almost the northeastern territory, if I remember correctly. Parts of Pennsylvania, I think even in Maryland, I believe. Now, did you guys actually travel to a lot of these new locations for the sequel?
Yeah, we did want to make it a bigger universe this time, and so we wanted to take you to a zombie 5K and a zombie pub crawl, and in order to do that, we had to go where those things actually happen. So we spent a lot of time in Minnesota. We went down to Perry, Georgia, which is just south of Atlanta, for the zombie 5K, and then we ended up in Pennsylvania, and you can see from the movie that is an actual prison, and the city is built around it. So that was something really cool, just for us to learn, but then also the visuals of that, I think really helped the movie and make it a bigger feel than the original.
Oh, most definitely. I totally agree. And as far as you guys bringing people back to the haunt, this past weekend, my wife and I were at dear friends of mine wedding in New Jersey. They are, I'm going to put them on the spot here. Dan and Kristen are better known as Grin and Cheeks. They are 2/3 of the Circus Rejects. They also, amongst going to tattoo and horror conventions, they also work at Bloodshed Farms in Columbus, New Jersey. They took us to Saturday night. The wedding was Sunday. And while I'm there, I must have referenced back to you guys in my head a million times, so your guys' movie had such a profound impact on my life as far as horror movies go. There were a lot of good movies out, but everything was kind of stale. It was another slasher film or another extreme gore film or something I really just didn't even want to bother having to watch. I watched your movie and instantly, boom. I've got a lot of classics that are in my top 10, even more so in my top 5 throughout history, and yours had a place right there instantly. I'm not just trying to put the mint on your bed pillow for you. Anybody that knows me knows that your film is one, no matter how many times I see it's online or Netflix, anything of that nature, 9 out of 10 times it gets watched. I cannot ever get tired of that film.
Well, I appreciate you saying
that. Cool to hear.
Cool.
So what's next?
Well, we got to see how to hopefully, playing worldwide, hopefully globally people accept it the same way or, accept Halloween in general that way. Because that was always a worry about the first one. But what was surprising and awesome is it ended up playing on 6 continents, and people are attracted to Halloween no matter what language you speak. So that was really neat.
So how's the feedback been with the release of the second one so far?
It's been good.
I think people that really liked the first one and are able to look at it as more of a Halloween adventure and just come back on the ride. I think those people are finding the second one to in ways be even better because it's bigger in scope. I think if people are looking for, like you said, just kind of turning it on and thinking that it's going to be a gore fest, the whole way through, or constant jump scares, every 5 or 10 minutes, those people might be a little disappointed because that's just not the movie we set out to make. We wanted to ground it in reality. And so I think if you take that attitude toward it and you really like the season and you would want to go on a road trip like that, I hope that you grab a beer and come along for the ride with us.
Well, having completed the original and now the sequel, and both have been released, are you guys able to look at it? Bobby, you had mentioned you guys would go to a horror film growing up and then you'd go to a haunt. So can you look at your films and say, damn, we really nailed what we were trying to push to the audience?
Well, I think that's what's nice about 1 and 2 is they have different attractions. You can be the most amazing haunt in the world, but at the end of the day, sometimes that translates on screen as a dark labyrinth, right? And if we did that again, we took 5 great haunts from part 1, but in part 2, if we would done the stereotypical haunted house, it would have felt too much like the same thing. So we took a lot of pride in trying to find some of the coolest and biggest events, some that we'd never even heard of for part 2, and that's why you get the zombie pub crawl, the zombie 5K, things like that most people won't get to experience. We wouldn't either. We're very fortunate to do it. But if you can't, at least vicariously, you can spend the holiday with us.
So have you guys, for those who may not have been fortunate enough to see part 2 yet, sorry about your luck, but in the sequel, you guys are kind of an attraction. You are the guests at many of these haunts that you are attending. Has anybody actually approached you guys, coming out to our haunt, be our guest for the night? And is that something you guys, if you have not done, is that something you guys would actually consider maybe doing?
Yeah, we have it. It happens a lot, actually. In between 1 and 2, which was really cool, is there were so many haunts that reached out to ask to be part of the sequel. That, you know, hoping that we would have a part 2. You know, some people didn't know, but that happened a lot in the interim. So that was really cool. And then now that it's Halloween season, yeah, Zach and I both, we try to spread it out. Sometimes if one person goes this way, one person goes that way, and tries to kind of stop by these haunts, especially October. I mean, it means a lot to us too. We're not just, you know, we made this movie, but we're just such huge fans of the holiday in general. So,
and we've been dropping off posters and things at different haunted houses to give to the people that work there, and you know, just really we figure that that's you know, just another way to thank them for what they're doing.
Wow, that's really cool, man. I wish I had known about that. So, all right, so you guys are obviously you're fans of Halloween. Are you genuine horror fans yourselves as well then?
I am absolutely same as Zach. I mean, we've known each other for so long. That's what we did and do. I think that I don't tend to go as much the gore as I try. You know, that I enjoy like the tension or the twists that come to some horror, or just a really creative idea, as simple as Freddy Krueger is, tapping into somebody's sleep, things that somebody or everyone they cannot possibly avoid. That was ingenious by Craven. And I really appreciate that kind of stuff and just try to learn from it. And then, you know, James Wan, now I've watched since that first Saw, and just the world that he created and how twisty he made a horror film that ultimately is probably a thriller. But I like it when people combine those two genres.
Well, while you're on it, do you have an all-time favorite horror film then?
You want to go first, Zach?
Yeah, all-time favorite is probably hard. I kind of always either start, you know, on one side of the decades and then kind of move forward. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, so I really liked the new It. I really liked the first half of the old It. The Shining has always been one of my favorites. I love Sinister. I love Insidious. Even, you know, you look at Jaws, like, I mean, that was,
Oh, sure.
That was one of the first movies, I think, you know, age-wise that made me think about something like, you're afraid to go into that water. And I don't think there's ever been a time I've been in the ocean and not thought about Jaws. And
Sure.
so to be able to have that kind of impact, I think is pretty cool.
Oh, most definitely agreed. Yeah.
Mine, I guess, contemporary is The Strangers really worked for me, and I think
Nice
there's
call.
influences of that into Houses as well. And I think it's that idea of indiscriminate killing, or it can happen, you know, just to anybody. That to me, instead of all the, you know, the supernatural and possession movies, those are what resonate with me. Things that look and feel real. That is scary. And Strangers really did that well. I think the choice for them not to speak was really, really smart and added to that factor. So, you know, I really enjoyed that. Strangers is great.
No, I agree. That was a really good movie. And, you know, I have to commend you guys for a modern day horror film to not have to have, let's just say, a killer, so to speak. You know, no blood, you know, and to have that much of an impact and for it to go over that well, I think is astonishing. And yeah, your film actually, there's never been masks or anything like that have scared me until I watched your movie more than once. And the first night I actually had problems falling asleep when I realized that a skull mask scares me to death. I don't like spiders. I'm not crazy about snakes. Clowns don't bother me. Zombies don't bother me. Frankenstein, whatever. But if I ever put on your movie, and even the other day, my wife, we were in a Walgreens, wherever it was we were, and we're in the Halloween aisle, and there was a great big skull, and she kind of put it just in front of her face and started dancing around. And I just kind of backed off a couple seconds, and it was because of your film that realization came through, that something about large skull heads on a body just really bothers the shit out of me.
I love hearing that because it's funny how different things resonate with different people. Like you're saying, some are spiders, some are clowns, some are dolls. You have no idea who your audience is going to be that night, right? In their home. So you hope you touch on all of it. The philosophy behind doing the skulls and making them almost generic is the idea that maybe you did see one that, you go out to a haunt tonight, you'll see something similar and it'll just feel like, could they be part of it? Are they watching me? It was kind of just a little bit of that play on something that we do actually have day in and day out of our lives in October. They could be anywhere.
Right. No, agreed. Yeah, there'll be something there that can trigger it. That's for sure. So, unfortunately, I saw that you guys had done, I believe it was a relatively small run of guest appearances at horror conventions after the release of the first film. Will you guys, and if you do, I pray it's close, be doing any conventions, pushing for the sequel?
Maybe later. Yeah, we've been so inundated with trying to do as many rounds of press as we could, getting out there, kind of visiting at these haunts. We hadn't really even looked into it. We've been approached earlier in the year, and then we just kind of, these last 2 months have been pretty insane. I mean, we're happy about it. Love to do the work for it, but it's been hard to do anything else.
Zach, I see that. That's not funny, man.
That was too easy.
That was nice. That was nice. And I'll tell you what, I have been looking high and low, especially for a blue skull somewhere in any store, just so I have a huge shelf of all my little Halloween and horror collectibles and knickknacks, and I want to be able to put one right dead center of it.
Well, you need to just paint it. That's about the contest for Halloween. So anybody that does their skeletons or skulls paints them blue and just enters it. They can win a drone Halloween night.
I do. I've actually been pushing that socially on through House of Tortured Souls Facebook page as well. So hopefully you guys will get a good winner out of that one.
Very cool.
So how hard was it? Now, you guys have been friends for a long time, and you've also had family involved in the production of both films. How hard was it for two minds to be able to collaborate and say, no, I want it this way. No, I think this way is better. You're an idiot. And you know what? That's it. I'm done. I quit.
I guess we never got to the I'm done, I quit.
And we're glad you didn't. But, I can only imagine having to work, two people together collaborating, just different visions. Any difficulties?
Yeah, I do think that we, I think sometimes we have to respect the different roles. And we look at things sometimes as, people will ask me, like, why didn't you have your face painted at the zombie pub crawl? It's like, why is Zach not face painted? And I felt like my character wouldn't do that.
Right. Okay.
And he would be more, just kind of orchestrating everything kind of going on and taking it, more serious. And so I think stuff like that, you kind of respect where somebody's coming from a character perspective. And then, from a directing perspective, I can think of times where, we're getting a shot or something, and, I may have a different idea, but I'm like, that's kind of Bobby's role. I've got to, defer to him when it comes to that. And, then other producer duties, maybe he defers to me. So,
sure. Okay.
I think we're very, very yin and yang anyway, and that's what makes it work.
Right.
Zach always describes it that I see the trees and he sees the forest.
Okay.
And that's fine. I am very meticulous about every little detail, which is really hard to do on live sets and found footage. So some of that stuff will kind of eat me up, that you can't get the exact thing that you want. Mm-hmm. But you kind of have to go with the flow. And what's good is if Zach and I were identical in the way we thought, then that's when you really clash, Right. But if there is that yin and yang feel, and we've always been able to roll with that, that's always worked for us in the past, and hopefully far into the future.
And then a new example is our foreign sales company sent over a list of shades of blue that they were going to, use for on the skeleton. And I just laughed and I was like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I'm sure Bobby cares. So I just was like, just pick one, man. Like,
I
I don't
know
even
the
need to know.
exact PMS color that they need to use, so I'm glad they asked, and I'm glad he stayed out of it.
Oh man. So, all right. Well, let me ask. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time for me so quickly today. I don't want to keep you guys any longer than I have. After I watched the first one, I had written a review for the website. Zach, you had actually commented on it online by saying, we're glad that you glad that it meant that much to you, and I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to comment. At the end of the movie, myself and my kids had watched it, and when I called them that day and told them that you had made a comment, they both started saying, "Oh my God, that's so awesome! That's so awesome!" But what happened? What happened at the end of part one? Did they die? Did they die? So my question is this: obviously, we know what happened. There is a sequel. Are we done?
Are we done with the story?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Are we done with the story? Any little secrets you want to possibly let out to the future? Is there a future that holds?
The blue skeleton is a very, very big, broad world, and how far their reach goes, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
But there's too many haunts, that we haven't even touched upon yet. So, we always talked about in ways doing the sequels as cardinal directions, because geography kind of really, really sculpts some of these haunted houses. But then when we started, we're jumping all around north, south, east coast. But that is something that we want to tackle. We have not even scratched the surface of all the amazing work that a lot of these haunt owners and scare actors do. So as long as they keep building and they keep their doors open, so will we.
Okay, fair enough. Any particular haunts that you would like to mention on the air that were just kind of mind-blowing, incredible? Can't believe these guys put something like this on without Hollywood backing.
I think when you look at the map of the places we went, people always say what's the most, the scariest thing or the most extreme. But honestly, every haunted house that we've ever been to, there's always been something about it that sticks out in my memory. I mean, whether it's zombie paintball and then finding another zombie paintball place that did a black light on the paintballs. And so then you could actually see, with the black light, the paintball hitting. That was so cool. And there's a room that had, it was all bright lights and white smoke. And so you're so used to being in the dark at these things. And so that was so jarring. And then they had scare actors come out in white masks. And so that was just something I had never seen before. And then, the isolation, when you can be alone, I think that's, really a crazy experience. People are doing immersive theater now. There's a Creep LA that does, like I said, immersive theater and separates you and kind of puts you into the show. And so it's just the creativity out there. I mean, I don't think I think Bobby would probably agree that there's not like one place that's just amazing. I mean, there's places that have Guinness Book of World Records, that half of it isn't that scary, but it's still awesome because it's so long, that each place just has something that really sticks in my mind. So.
Yeah, we've gone to a bunch around up and down the coast this October as much as we could. What was really neat is last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, we're at Haunted Kitsap, the fairgrounds out by Seattle. And they had a suspended porcelain in this glass box. She was in this clear floor. So you don't know, you're looking forward. And as you look down, she's basically looks levitating underneath you, and porcelain's just staring at you. Oh, wow. What was nice is the owners invited us out, but being able to talk to them after that they did it, they saw the movie and they put that in. That was just really cool. That was really neat for us to kind of have. But it was it was just I've only seen the clear floor thing maybe once, and I really, really like it when somebody's down there.
So, going to actual haunts and filming, how hard was that to be able to coincide with their scheduling? Was this way during off season and they were just able to fill it with people and have it assumed to have been the Halloween season? Or was this something that was actually coincided while they were open and live? And if so, I couldn't imagine how it would be able to manage with crowd control.
Yeah, it was actually during the season. We wanted that authenticity. So, people that are waiting in line, those are the patrons that are waiting in line. And the haunts were so great about giving us that little bit of wiggle room to kind of take over, whether it be for 15 minutes and they'd hold up the line for 5 or 10 minutes to give us a little bit of leeway. But then also they were like, guys, this is our business, and so we do have to respect that this is live and happening, and so you can't just film 20 times
Sure.
because we've got to get paying customers in. So it was a nice balance, I think, and really I can't even think of a time that it really didn't work harmoniously. Even up in Minnesota, they stayed open. It must have been 3 a.m, right, Bobby? And it was freezing cold, and the haunt workers just stayed so that we could kind of get some B-roll. And I just, we're so thankful for that.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Wow. I honestly did. I had thought about it and I'm like, wow, they're making a movie. So, they're cut, retake, do all this other stuff. But to find this out is amazing, and yet raises the bar up to a whole nother level of respect from you guys of making those films. Gentlemen, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. That is my show for the night. I can't thank you guys enough for joining us here on House of Tortured Souls.
You're welcome.
Be, eagerly awaiting to see what your next projects are. Please feel free to keep in touch with me, and thank you guys for everything.
All right.
I'm glad
Happy Halloween.
Yep, happy Halloween. Hopefully we see you soon.